Hi, Tom.
Hey, Nick, hold on.
Not a problem. This is live.
You there?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
I can, yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Are you doing on cam?
That's what I'm trying to figure out how to do here. I don't know why I'm not showing up.
Click the camera button at the top of the page where it says mute microphone, turn camera on. Can you see that?
It says camera is on.
Oh, that's weird. Try turn it off and on again. Did you look over the questions?
I did, briefly.
They meet your approval?
Oh, yeah. And I've already fixed the camera, so we're on video. Why is that not showing up? Okay. Screen share, showcase, Q&A. Why is that not showing up? Okay, broadcast settings. As guests join, hide their audio and video from my broadcast. Yes. Broadcast a large video that I see to my audience and hide the other video feeds. Yes.
Yes.
New guests in my large broadcast are muted when they join. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's all done. Okay. And why am I not showing up?
It says at the top your camera's on. It's not got the red around it, right?
Yeah, it says it's on.
Okay, so if you hover over it, it says turn camera on or off.
It says turn camera. If I've hovered over it right now, it says turn camera off.
Okay, so that's not it. Let me see. Oh, it stumped me. I have no idea then, Tom. But the one good thing is, at least we get a picture of you.
Yeah. It's not what I wanted. Ah. You can hear me okay, right? Nick?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I mean, the only thing I could think of is the camera will go on at 1 when we're meant to start. Okay, now at the top of the screen where it says hide participants. Can you see that?
Yes.
Click on that. The other thing I'm going to say is, are you sure your webcam is plugged in?
It was a minute ago.
Well, it should just be a case. It should just be on. Let's see. Is there anything down here that can help? YouTube control room. What's control room? Click on the control room thing on the left-hand side. It's the third one from the bottom.
Yeah, I've done that.
Is there anything in there you can use?
Okay, I've turned the camera on.
Still not. I still can't see it. Wait a minute. What's this thing here, Strutter? That's not right. Okay, go to settings at the top. You see the cog?
Hold on. Let me get out of the control room. Yes.
Okay, what does it say for webcam? Does it say, where you can, it should show you, to the right, it should show you a screen where your webcam is.
It's got Logitech webcam or analog video capture.
Okay.
Let's see.
Are there any other options in there that you can change it to? Maybe it's picked up the wrong one.
No. And the green light is on the camera.
I wonder if it'll just turn on at 1. Okay. Yeah, wait a minute, it's just changed.
Huh?
Is there anything over the front of your camera?
No. Oh, we've taped it.
Is the tape over the camera in any way?
It's over the back of it.
It's not over the lens in any way?
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, it's 1, so we should really get started.
Yes.
And God knows, this is so annoying. Let's see. Well, you just took a photo.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's surge ahead, and we've got to come back on here this week to try and find out what the hell's going on with this camera, because this is the only time, we don't want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
It's one, and we don't want to be over. We don't want to eat into time. So let's begin. How are you feeling today, Mr. Ufert?
I'm doing well, Nick. Thank you.
I'm sorry about the webcam problems. It seems to be that's maybe a good omen. Maybe something good will come of it. So let's start. How are you going to get Americans working again?
Well, with my campaign, the entire prospect of the None of the Above campaign is to do what politicians are not doing and haven't been doing for a number of years, and that is to focus on job creation, which is the single most important issue that American voters are concerned about. Now, my campaign is going to address this issue from a number of directions. First, I believe tax reform is extremely important, especially on the corporate level. We're going to reduce America's corporate tax rate, which is one of the highest in the world. I believe it is the highest of all the G8 industrialized countries at 37.1%. We're going to create 3 different tax brackets at 15, 20, and 25% based on the number of employees that a company has. That will make us extremely competitive. In turn, what that will do is that will encourage companies to repatriate jobs and funds from overseas back to the United States. That will be the first step. Second step, we're going to do education reform that focuses on preparing students for the 21st century that we're already in. We're not doing enough. We have students that no longer have vocational training in schools, and I think that needs to be reinstituted in schools so that they're trained with skills. We need to vibrantly use public and corporate funding with retraining programs for employees that have been out of the job market and don't have the skills they need. And that will take some time. All of this will take some time. Anyone who is expecting this to happen overnight is fooling themselves. We have been in this ditch for some time, and we're not going to get out of it overnight. But we've got to start focusing on changing America's economy from what I call industrialization to informationalization. That's where our talents need to be focused. One other area that I think we need to address is immigration reform. We need to get past all of the ideological bickering that is going on. We need to deal with the fact that America is a country of diversity, and we need to accept that and move beyond the rhetoric. We need to deal with the 11 or so million undocumented aliens in this country. We need to work on pathway to citizenship. We need to work on work visas. Part of that is going to require, in my opinion, a nationalized use of the e-verification system for employers with a fee for visa program. If they hire undocumented aliens or they hire illegal aliens, they have to pay a fine for the visas to properly get them into a work visa program. All of this combined is going to encourage the economy to boost and grow. Now, there have been estimates from some of the presidential candidates of 3 and 4% growth. I would like to see us at 5% growth within 4 years. That, I think, is quite doable. And considering that the rest of the world's economies are sluggish, like ours, and there is great potential for the American economy to take advantage of that sluggishness on the world stage and use it to our advantage.
Interesting. But let me ask you this. Are you interested in the problems of Middle America? And can you prove that you are?
Oh, definitely. I come from the middle class. I'm not wealthy by any means, unlike most of the presidential candidates running for office today. And so I think the average American would definitely agree that I am part of the middle class. And excuse my phone, it's ringing. I apologize.
That's okay, Steve, and I'm sure you're busy.
But the way that I approach life is the way that I was brought up. That hard work leads to success. And the problems with the middle class today in America, and it's a diminishing middle class. And part of the reason that that is happening is because we no longer have the ability to transition from one class to another. Those avenues have been greatly squelched by the concentration of wealth in this country in the top 1%. Now, while the left and the right will argue and debate the issue of whether or not there's a class war, the true reality of our situation in America is that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Well, that doesn't have to be the way it needs to be. And we need to focus on creating jobs. And our leadership class in this country has spent so much time playing the blame game and the Washington two-step that they have not focused on this enough. They need to get over their partisan rhetoric, and they need to do the jobs that we've elected them for. Or the American people need to say, enough is enough, and elect a new class of leaders. And that's what my campaign is all about. So yes, I am very concerned about the diminishing middle class in this country. And I think with our jobs plan, our education reform, our tax reform, these are all going to combine to reinvigorate the middle class and provide those transitional bridges for people to move into the middle class and achieve financial success.
Well, I think that leads us nicely into the next question. Why is it important for you to run for president?
That's a good question, and one that is a legitimate question for concerned voters. People sit back and they go, I don't understand why someone who's never served an elected office, someone who is openly declared gay, which is considered divisive, someone who is obviously physically challenged, and then from the outstart declares that if the campaign wins, will not accept the office. Why should we support such candidacy? And I look at that and I take that on with excitement, because the whole purpose of this None of the Above campaign is to reinvigorate the American citizenry to have renewed interest in participatory democracy, Jeffersonian democracy from Thomas Jefferson's writings and philosophies, that we have citizen legislators and not career politicians. So the whole purpose behind my campaign is to instill in the American people their votes do count. One of the reasons that we have apathy in this country and we have a feeling of disenfranchisement is because that big money and corporate special interests, since Citizens United and even then before that, you are considered a voiceless individual unless you're wealthy like Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton or Jeb Bush. And that's not fair. That's not what democracy is all about. So with this campaign, voters can put their votes to good use by voting for none of the above. They know that I am not going to accept the office should the campaign win, and when the campaign wins. We are going to force a new election, and the previous candidates that ran for office will not be allowed to run again. So it creates this whole open door for a new class of leadership. And it will send a clear signal to the two majority parties in this country that their control of the system isn't working and that they need to get their act together and listen to the people. This is an opportunity for the American people to take control again of their destiny and the destiny of this country.
Well, I think that's quite a persuasive argument. But I have to ask you, the state things are in at the moment. At what point do you think America will see change under your leadership?
I think that Americans can see an immediate change with this electoral process if they get involved and they insist on change. By voting for None of the Above campaign 2016, they will send a clear message to the political elite and to the partisan-controlled system as it is now, that the American people have had enough and that they are no longer going to allow individuals who are more concerned with their own political careers to decide their fate. If the majority of American people will get out and vote for this campaign, we will send a clear message that none of the candidates that are running are acceptable to us and that we want change. This is a historic transition in American politics because this is the first time that a campaign like this has been run that has a viable chance to win on the political stage. And the reason I say that is because there are 44 states in the country that allow write-in candidates. Only one state in the country allows a none of the above ballot vote, and that's Nevada. And that's because the two political parties, Democrats and Republicans, have controlled the electoral system so that you cannot have none of the above on the ballot. So that's the reason I'm running. I am the face of this campaign to allow it to be as a write-in on the ballot. If I were not running and we just did a none of the above campaign, then the American people wouldn't have an alternative because they wouldn't have that on the ballot. As a write-in candidate, they can write my name in, and when I, as the candidate for none of the above, win, and I refuse the office, it forces a new election. That is how this is going to succeed.
But aren't you just another Obama, a man with a lot of inspiration and a lot of big ideas? How can you prove that you are going to be a man of action who will actually get things done?
I think the mere fact that I, as a physically challenged individual, have taken up the mantle of running for public office, considering my challenges, is demonstration enough that I'm a man of action. I've been involved in 11 political campaigns. I was a congressional intern. I have spent my entire life since the age of 17 involved in politics. Anyone who has known me or has read any of the books that I have written or the essays that I've written on politics knows that I believe very strongly that the individual can make a difference. That's the reason I'm running. I want the American people to realize that you don't have to be a rich person to run for office. There are over 350 people running for president of the United States today. I'm one of them. But the difference is that I'm running as an independent, I'm running as a write-in candidate, and I have laid my entire life out in the open for people to scrutinize. I have been honest about my past, I've been honest about what I believe in, and I want to give the American people inspiration and incentive that now is their opportunity to join in our fight to retake control of our political destiny. So, yes, I am a man of action. And I believe with this campaign, we are demonstrating that because I am appealing to the average American voter that I am the alternative to the partisan candidates that are only interested in their own political careers.
Very interesting. So let's ask you some questions about, from the presidential point of view. What are your major concerns about the path America is currently on?
I'm concerned that we have no visionary approach to the 21st century. We are so busy in a divisive era where we are more concerned about what is politically correct than what is politically prudent and politically practical for solutions in this country. What I mean is that the powers that be are focused on the divisive rhetoric of, well, the African American population, the Mexican American population, the gay American population, the straight American population, the poor American population, the rich American population, the Anglo-American population, the gender differences. We are no longer focused on being Americans, and that's what is hurting us. A nation divided cannot stand. And that is where we are in this country. We are so busy pointing fingers at each other and not working together as a united people that we can't focus on the problems that we have and find the solutions that need to be done. So I believe that that is our biggest problem in the direction this country is going. And honestly, I don't see any political leaders out there that are trying to unite us. They're so busy dividing us and pointing at what divides us rather than what unites us. We are a diverse, vibrant culture, and we have the capability in this nation to launch a new golden age in American history. I firmly believe that. We have the informational technology to blast out the past and really have a stupendous future. And our young people today are on the cutting edge of that. But they don't see any hope in getting involved because they don't see any leaders out there that are giving them reason to get involved. They don't see any hope for progress. And that's what I'm trying to inspire in the American people, that we have that ability. We just need to focus on what makes us a strong, united country, not what divides us.
Well said. But, you know, there have been a lot of people who have said this, and I'm going to have to ask you it again. But surely you can't win the presidency. So surely you are wasting the votes of the public who could vote for a candidate who would actually enact change and make policy. Surely by holding up the process and actually setting them up to win, you are just possibly stopping a candidate who may be of benefit to the American people.
Well, frankly, point to a candidate that the majority of this country believes is a benefit to the country, and I would support them. Um, People point to Hillary Clinton, and for all of her years of experience, they still don't trust her. People point to Donald Trump, and for all of his success as a business tycoon, say that he's divisive and bombastic. People point to Jeb Bush and say that for the fact that he is from a politically successful family and is quite wealthy, he doesn't have the wherewithal to lead a united American people. None of them do. And with 16 Republican candidates and 6 Democratic candidates, why not try something different? Let's go with an independent candidate that can bridge the gap, that can unite the two parties and bring people together. When you say that I can't win the presidency, I say, why not? It may be a long shot. I may be a dark horse, but there is no reason why I can't win this election just like anybody else can. The powers that be don't want me to win. I don't have the big money that the other campaigns have. But as my mentor, Governor Buddy Roemer, when he ran in 2012, he said that if he could get 100 million people to donate $100 to his campaign, what an impressive campaign that would be. And I agree. Or he get 1 million people, that's what he said, 1 million people to donate $100 each. That's $100 million. My campaign will not accept any corporate money. It will not accept any PAC money. It will not set up a super PAC like Citizens United allows. And all personal contributions be limited to $100. At the end of the campaign, I've challenged all the other presidential campaigns to do this, and none of them have accepted it. But at the end of my campaign, all of the contributions to the campaign that are left over after the bills are paid will be contributed to charity to feed the hungry, house the homeless, and take care of the disabled. Real problems that the American people want addressed in this country. And none of the other campaigns are doing that. They're stuffing the money, even if they don't win the nomination of one of the two parties, they're going to stuff it in a bank account for a war chest for them to run in the future. I'm not running for my career. I am running for the American people and giving them the opportunity. So I say, yes, I do have a very viable chance to win this election because we're going to shake it up. We're going to rock the boat. And that's what I'm asking the American people to do, is join me in this struggle to overturn the corrupt, divisive, and dysfunctional leadership class that we have today that's not doing their job.
I think that's an argument that would ring true with a lot of people, and I think it's a very sincere message. So let's talk about something that's very important at the moment, foreign affairs.
All right.
As a president, what would you do about the Middle East?
The Middle East is a very complicated and caustic region of the world. With the Arab Spring of 2010, I believe, we had great hope and promise with the citizen revolutions that were occurring all across the Middle East. Unfortunately, they have been sidetracked. And part of the problem that is arising out of the Middle East is that you have a growing demographic population of young people who don't have jobs, and they don't see a future, a certain future for themselves. And let's face it, any American who believes that democracy is going to suddenly pop up like a McDonald's in Cairo or on the streets of Baghdad is fooling themselves. The truth of the matter is, this is a region of the world that has never known true democracy. And it's not going to happen overnight, as is evidenced by 2 wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And the cost of trillions in U.S. Treasury and tens of, well, not tens, but thousands of American servicemen and women lives. This was not the right way to go about it. You have to help democracy flourish from the ground up. And we have not done that. I would agree that as far as Iraq is concerned, yes, we won the war, but we lost the peace. And now is the time when we're going to have to refocus our attention. The vacuum that has been created in the Middle East has allowed organizations like ISIS to flourish. They are appealing to the fears and to the uncertainties of young people worldwide, and they're using religion as their banner to excuse the brutality and the horrific nature of their war against the West and Western culture. These, we in the West have gotten into this debate on rhetoric. What do we call them? Do we call them Islamists? Do we call them terrorists? What do we call them? The truth of the matter is, these are people bent on control and power, who are terrorists and murderers, and they need to be addressed that way. My campaign in the coming weeks is going to be releasing a series of position papers, and one will be on foreign policy, and one specifically dealing with ISIS in the Middle East. My proposal is that we are going to have to insert troops on the ground, not on the scale that individuals like Senator Lindsey Graham would propose of 10 or 15,000 troops in a large-scale force. I want to position 8 different detachments of special operation forces, and we need to negotiate with our allies in the region like Jordan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Egypt, and what we need to do is we're going to position these troops so that they can fight guerrilla warfare on the same scale as ISIS is doing. Now, I don't mean with the vitriolic brutality that ISIS does, but we can no longer expect large-scale invasion of countries to solve our foreign policy crises. Iraq proved that it does not work. It creates animosity in the region, it builds distrust in us, and it completely sours the vision of America as defenders of democracy. We're not doing ourselves any service by doing that. So these detachments or these deployments of special operations forces would work with our allies' armies to help train their special operations forces. And they would do quick, insertive strikes against ISIS targets and withdraw, basically doing guerrilla warfare, exactly what ISIS is doing to us. I also think that for all of the bluster the Obama administration says that they've spent millions of dollars and created this special department in the State Department, or division in the State Department, to combat ISIS on social media, I frankly see no evidence of that whatsoever. And that's one of the reasons I created my own video called The True Faces of ISIS on YouTube. We need to fight ISIS on social media. I don't see why the United States doesn't have its own army of hackers to go in and hack their systems and basically degrade their ability to use social media. I don't know why we are not going into the real Muslim communities in other countries and videotaping people who truly believe in the honesty and the righteousness of what Islam really is as a religion, to combat the misinterpretation and the twisted version of the Quran and Islam that ISIS is perpetrating, and use that against them to try and sway the young people that they are basically beguiling with these messages. We're not fighting them hard enough on social media, and that's one area that I think we need to address. So that's a generalized outline of what my campaign's going to be revealing in our position papers coming out in the month of August and September.
Well, it's quite a complex plan, and I think it has some validity. But let's talk about the home front a little bit now. How will you make America profitable again?
Well, first off, I think the tax reform issue is something that needs to be addressed. Politicians have been talking about tax reform for years and have done nothing to it. There are so many loopholes in our tax structure that it's burdensome, it's cumbersome, and it's completely antiquated. I don't think most Americans realize, but all of the tax loopholes and tax credits that American corporations get, for example, the profits that they earn abroad, they get a tax write-off for that. If you lump all of the tax write-offs and loopholes that American corporations get together, we could pay off America's federal deficit. Most Americans don't realize that. That is how much money the federal government is giving away to corporations. I do not think that corporations should be rewarded for profits they make abroad. Secondly, I do believe in free trade, but I believe in fair trade. Fair free trade, I should say. And for countries like China that manipulate their currency, I say what we need to do is use the same tactic they're using against our exports. If they're going to do tariffs on our exports and manipulate their currency, then I say we start putting tariffs against Chinese products, and we create basically a trade war until they come to the table and stop manipulating their currency. Now, I don't like trade wars because it creates tension internationally, and it causes problems. But unfortunately, we are playing against people who are not playing fairly. And the time has come for us to take the gloves off and to use our influence in the financial world and in the economic world as the most vibrant economy on the planet and start fighting back. We're not doing it. I agree with a lot of the trade proposals that have been coming out. However, I do not agree that this Trans-Pacific partnership that President Obama has been fighting so eloquently for, I don't know that that's the right way to go. And to give the president just a blank check to secretly negotiate this trade deal, there's not enough transparency on how this is decided and how it's going to affect American companies and American workers. And I think the American people should look more deeply into that. That is one of the areas that I think we need to focus on. Brazil is a vibrant economy in the Western Hemisphere. And we need to focus on the Western Hemisphere's trade relations and help our Latin American countries where we're getting so much immigration problems from. We need to help them build up their economies and create a Western trade zone. Just not exactly like the European trade zone, because I don't think we should all have one currency. I think that's been a huge mistake, and the Europeans are finding that out. Another thing I think, was speaking of Europe, Europe has been having problems because of their dependence on Russian oil. I think one way that the American economy could really boom and could simultaneously help our European allies is, why aren't we exporting our surplus in natural gas and our growing independence in against foreign oil? Why can't we use our growing supremacy as an energy producer to help our European allies? One thing Americans don't realize, we haven't built a new oil refinery in this country in probably 40 years. Now, I'm not saying that we need to become more dependent on biofuels. What I am saying is that this increase in energy independence that has come from being the #1 natural gas producer in the world gives us the opportunity to help our allies in need, and will help them get off of depending on Russia. That will take away a lot of Vladimir Putin's power, and it might help encourage him from being so antagonistic on the world stage.
You could be right. I think it's important that changes are made across Europe, and especially the problem with oil dependency. But we're coming to the end, and I just wanted to ask you how the average American can support your campaign.
The average American can support this campaign in a number of ways. In the coming months, we're going to be petitioning. We're going to be doing petition drives in the 44 states to allow us to be a write-in candidate on the 44 ballots. We need help there. Our campaign website at tomufert.org will be up and running, I am told, within the next 60 days. And individuals can go there. They can see our position papers. They can read more about me, who I am and what I'm about, what this campaign is all about, and they can decide for themselves if this is the way they want to go. And I think once they read all of that information and they get to know me more, get to know me better, they're going to realize that I am speaking a realistic, viable truth that they can support. Now, as far as campaign contributions, all of that will be up on the website. But I will tell people, I will not accept personal campaign contributions of more than $100. No hands are going to be in my pockets except for the American people. And I am insistent on that. That's one of the things that we are really proposing is campaign finance reform. Voters can go out there and read that. We have time. We don't have to worry about the primary system that Republicans and Democrats have to worry about. We can stay this in the long haul. That's the reason we're starting now. But when it comes time to November of 2016, you will see Tom Ufert and the No 2 2016 campaign on the 44 ballots in this country. And I predict that we are going to shock all of the political punditry. They don't see us coming. They don't see the American people coming. And this is an opportunity for the American people to really take control back for themselves, away from career politicians and corporate special interests. And that's what I'm encouraging the American people to do. Go to our website, read some of the stuff that I've written. They can see my blogs. They can listen to my radio program on the Alternative Public Radio Broadcast System, APRI. We're going to start doing that once a week in September. It's now twice a month. We're going to be doing these Google Hangouts starting next month. We will do 2 a month on the 15th and the 30th of each month. And I encourage you to talk to people and say, look, this guy is for real. He is serious. This is not a joke. This is a viable, legitimate campaign that promises to really make reform and changes happen. But it can't be done without the support of the American people. And this is their opportunity to get involved and make their votes count. So that's the best thing I can tell you about that.
Well, I think to everybody who's listening, I think it's important to state again that the next one of these meetings will take place on the 15th of next month.
And I promise we'll have the camera worked out so people can actually see me.
Well,
sorry about that.
Well, you know, it's one thing being able to see you, but it's another thing being able to hear you, and I think you made a very vibrant statement.
Well, and they can see my videos on YouTube. They just have to type my name in. They'll see my 2 campaign videos with my campaign announcement, and they'll see the campaign video about who is Tom Ufert, and the website, like I said, will be up. They can also see my website at tomufert.com, and that's where my blog is at the moment. But that's where all they have to do is type my name in, and they'll find me.
Well, thank you for your time tonight, Tom.
Dick, thank you for narrating and hosting. Thank you for narrating and hosting.
Not a problem at all. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Same here, my friend. God bless you, and God bless the American people.
Amen.